What if I told you that everything you've been taught about attraction is a lie? That the very words you've been using to impress her are the exact words that make her forget you? Most men spend their entire lives chasing attention with the wrong tools: flowers, dinners, endless texts, recycled lines, and then they wonder why she never thinks about them once they walk away. But let me tell you this, it only takes 3 words to live in her head all day. 3 words that don't just catch her attention, but trap it, replaying over and over until she can't escape you. And no, it's not the words you think. It's not, "I love you." It's not some tired compliment she's heard from every man desperate to win her over. It's something far more dangerous, far more powerful. When you know what to say and when to say it, you bypass logic and go straight into her subconscious. You become the thought she can't silence, the presence she can't shake, the question she keeps asking herself without ever finding the answer. This is not about manipulation. This is about awakening a part of her that's been starved, her need to be seen, to be recognized beyond the surface. And the shocking part is, most men will never figure this out. That's why they chase. That's why they beg. But you, by the end of this video, you'll understand how to flip the game completely. You'll know the 3 words that set you apart from every man she's ever met. Stay with me until the end, because once you hear this, you will never approach women the same way again. Most men live under the illusion that love is proved by repetition. They think if they just keep saying, "I love you," often enough, it will secure a woman's heart. But the truth is, those 3 words have been drained of their power. They're thrown around so casually, so frequently, that they lose their weight. A woman hears them from men who don't mean it, men who barely know her, men who use it as a shortcut to intimacy rather than an honest reflection of connection. So when you think you're being romantic, what she's really hearing is predictability, familiar noise, something every other man has already said. And if you want to stand out in her mind, if you want her thoughts to orbit around you when you're not even there, you cannot be like every other man. You must understand that desire is not born from cliché, it's born from depth. What truly captivates a woman is when you speak into the parts of her that no one else notices. It's when you show her that you're not chasing the mask, the makeup, the version of her that she presents to the world. You're looking beyond all of that, directly into her essence. Because here's the paradox: a woman can receive compliments on her beauty all day, but beauty is not what keeps her awake at night. What unsettles her is being seen. And the moment she realizes that you recognize something in her that even she hides, she is no longer in control of her thoughts about you. You become a mirror that reflects back her own truth, and that is what lingers. So when I say the 3 words are not, "I love you," I mean that the power of language lies not in the words themselves, but in the depth they point to. Words are symbols, shortcuts to human emotion. If you want her to think of you all day, you must use words that create an emotional imprint. And here's the critical distinction. Emotion is not created by exaggeration. It's created by precision. Instead of grand declarations, say something so specific, so personal, that it could only ever be meant for her. That specificity shocks her because it signals presence. It tells her that while every other man is distracted, you are attentive. While others look at the surface, you're seeing her interior world. This is where psychology becomes your greatest ally. The human brain is wired to give more weight to moments that feel unique. When she feels you've noticed something no one else has, her subconscious attaches special value to that interaction. It burns into her memory and replays itself long after the conversation is over. You see, the reason "I love you" has lost its impact is because it's general. It could apply to anyone, but the 3 words that make her think about you all day, those are words crafted in the moment, tailored to her, hitting a nerve she didn't even know was exposed. Think about it, a woman doesn't remember the expensive dinner. She remembers the sentence you whispered that made her feel safe. She doesn't obsess over the flowers you bought. She obsesses over the way you caught her off guard with a truth that disarmed her. Attraction isn't built on external displays. It's built on piercing through the ordinary and reaching the extraordinary hidden in plain sight. This is why predictability kills desire. When you say what every other man says, you dissolve into the crowd of voices she's already tuned out. But when you drop 3 words that touch her in a way no one else has dared to, you force her mind to circle back to you again and again. And here's the brilliance: you don't need to scream for attention. You don't need to chase. By simply being present enough, awake enough, to identify the subtle truth in her, you flip the balance of power. She starts chasing the meaning behind what you said. She starts searching for hidden layers in you. She starts wondering if you see even more than she realizes. And this is where mastery lies, not in drowning her with affection, but in igniting curiosity. Curiosity is the seed of obsession. It's what makes her replay your words in her head, turning them over like a puzzle she can't solve. And every time she does, she feeds the connection in her mind. She doesn't choose it. It happens to her. That's the beauty of psychological influence. It's invisible, but irresistible. So stop thinking that love is about repetition and performance. It's not about how loudly you declare your feelings or how often you say the same 3 words. It's about creating a moment so precise, so personal, that she cannot erase it even if she tries. That is the difference between being remembered for a second and being unforgettable for a lifetime. And if you take nothing else from this, remember this truth: women do not fall for what every man says. They fall for the man who dares to say what no one else has seen. Most men believe words alone hold the power. They memorize lines, rehearse phrases, repeat compliments they've heard somewhere else, thinking that if they just say it right, it will leave a mark. But what they fail to understand is that the true impact of words isn't in the words themselves. It's in how and when they're delivered. Timing is everything. A sentence delivered at the wrong moment becomes background noise, but the same sentence spoken at the perfect time can echo in her mind for hours, even days. That is what creates psychological gravity. That is what makes her think about you long after you've left the room. You see, human beings don't respond to language in isolation. We respond to context, to contrast, to the emotional charge of the moment. When something is expected, it blends into the ordinary and loses its spark. But when something breaks expectation, it shocks the brain into awareness. That shock creates memory. So when you drop 3 words at a time she doesn't anticipate, in a moment that feels ordinary, you disrupt her sense of rhythm. You interrupt her autopilot. Suddenly, the ordinary moment becomes extraordinary, and you become the reason for that shift. Imagine this. She's rushing through her day, lost in her thoughts, or scrolling on her phone without much awareness. She's in that state of routine where everything feels predictable. And then you say something, 3 words, that pierce through her fog. Because she wasn't expecting it, her brain flags it as important. That's psychology. The mind assigns weight to the unexpected. It attaches meaning to interruptions in the flow. And in that moment, you're no longer just another voice in her life. You're the disruption that pulled her into presence. This is why predictability is the enemy of desire. When you repeat the same gestures, the same words, the same patterns, she stops noticing. Not because she doesn't care, but because the human brain is wired to tune out repetition. It saves energy by ignoring the familiar. But when you surprise her, when you drop words in a moment where she feels unguarded, she cannot tune it out. She has no defense against it. Those words slip past logic and embed themselves in her subconscious. And here's the deeper truth. It's not only about catching her off guard, it's about aligning your words with emotional peaks. Studies in psychology show that people remember words and actions more vividly when they're tied to heightened emotions. If she's laughing, if she's frustrated, if she's lost in thought, that's when her emotional state is heightened. That's when your words leave the strongest imprint. So when you say those 3 words in a moment charged with feeling, they don't just land, they anchor. They root themselves into her emotional memory, making her relive the sensation each time she recalls them. This is why the same phrase can either fall flat or become unforgettable, depending on when it's spoken. Think about it. You could tell a woman, "You amaze me," at the end of a date when she's expecting flattery, and it might mean nothing. But say it quietly when she's ranting about her struggles, when she thinks no one is really listening, and suddenly it's a lightning strike. She'll go home and replay it in her head because it came when her guard was down. It felt real, it felt personal, and most importantly, it felt timed to her truth. Philosophically, this ties into the idea that power isn't in grand gestures, but in precision. Anyone can say something sweet when the script calls for it, but mastery is saying it when no script exists, when the moment is raw and unpolished. That's what creates the haunting effect. That's what makes her lie awake at night, not because she chose to think about you, but because she cannot help it. So the lesson here is clear. Stop focusing on saying the right thing at the wrong time. Start mastering the art of presence. Pay attention to her state, notice the ordinary moments others ignore, and then drop words that change the texture of her day. Do this, and you don't just communicate, you etch yourself into her memory. And remember this, words themselves are cheap, but words spoken at the right time become priceless. They become unforgettable. And if you can master that, she won't just think about you for a day, she'll carry you in her mind far longer than she ever intended.